Okay. All right.
Okay. Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Thank you to the media for being here. I truly believe that the winner of this fight will be the new king of the sport, and I'm happy that you're all here to see it. I really believe that Tank's team is worried he's going to lose. And when you're a fighter, nothing feels worse than your team not believing in you.
Nothing feels worse than your team not believing in you. True words spoken by Oscar De La Hoya.
Think he's ready for Tank? You think Ryan's ready for Tank?
No.
Oscar, my little boy.
Tank is a beast.
Oscar.
How would you fight Tank?
I mean, look, let's take a bat in there. I would take a bat in there. Look, I had, I'm like, oh shit, I don't know what to say. You got me there, man.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So immediately following Ryan Garcia's knockout loss to Gervonta Tank Davis, he fires his new trainer, Joe Goossen. I reported on it and I told you guys it might have had something to do with the fact that Joe Goossen didn't even show up at the press conference, the post-fight press conference. Neither did Oscar De La Hoya or Bernard Hopkins. It was a stark contrast from the press conference we had just seen the week of the fight, where once again Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins were there, and they were, of course, promoting the fight, talking about why Ryan would win the fight. But when Ryan Garcia got knocked out, Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins, they left the arena immediately, almost before Gervonta was even announced the winner. The obvious perception was this didn't make Ryan Garcia happy at all. Well, it turns out our suspicions were correct, because Ryan Garcia, he just said the other day that his team had left him hanging at the press conference.
If a win, I wouldn't have got to see it. A loss, I seen everybody leave me, and then I just got to see who was really there for me. After the fight, nobody was there for me. Like, my team, but just didn't come to the press conference. They ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I mean?
That's so savage, man.
I was left with somebody betrayed me in camp. They weren't trying to look out for me after the fight. It was like I was left with that.
That's worse than fight.
Bro, it was the worst. And I had Tank's team really caring about me more than my own team. I had God with me the whole way.
Now, this apparently enraged Oscar De La Hoya, Ryan Garcia saying this, because for the first time, Oscar De La Hoya publicly blasts Ryan Garcia. I mean, Oscar has criticized Ryan Garcia in the past, but it was always subliminal. This statement was a little bit more transparent. It was more direct, but he was still on code at the same time, and I'll explain that. Oscar De La Hoya, he says, "What the F, Ryan? It's been almost 2 months and you're still crying about that post-presser? The blame for your loss is you and your advisor, Lupe. He is the only one pushed you to accept the insane rehydration clause, and that is the reason you lost. Man up and own that." Now, first off, Oscar De La Hoya's response is a complete deflection, because Ryan Garcia, he never blamed Oscar De La Hoya for his loss. He just said after his loss, nobody was there. A lot of his team wasn't there to support him. He's saying he wanted his team to be there through the good and bad times, which is something that every fighter wants. Then Oscar, he starts saying the blame is on you for accepting the rehydration clause. Oscar De La Hoya is speaking in code. The translation is simple. Oscar is saying, you were stupid for even taking this fight because Gervonta Tank Davis is a beast and you never would have beat him. Remember, way before the rehydration clause, Oscar De La Hoya and Ryan Garcia's team, they said that Ryan Garcia was not ready for Gervonta Tank Davis, including Canelo as well. That is the nice political way of saying that Gervonta Tank Davis will beat you. He's a better fighter than you. But they can't just come out and just say it because they're too worried about the Mexican backlash. At least the Mexicans that live in America or do a lot of business in America. This is the reason why there's a major dichotomy between the Mexicans that live in America and the Mexicans that live in Mexico. Case in point, Julio Cesar Chavez. He has no problem criticizing Ryan Garcia. He was criticizing Ryan Garcia way before this fight, criticized him after the Gervonta Tank Davis fight, because he's not influenced by a bunch of racist Mexican fans that live in America. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, Chavez, he was still on code slightly himself because at first, before this fight was official, he predicted Gervonta would knock out Ryan Garcia. But once the fight was official and we got closer to the fight, that's when all of a sudden, he showed his Mexican support and he said, yeah, man, Ryan's gonna win. Which you can clearly tell when he said it. He was just saying it because he felt he was supposed to say that, right? Same reason Oscar De La Hoya said that Ryan was gonna win, and he never felt that way. Even with the rehydration clause excuse, these are just political talking points. These are political talking points to stay on code. None of them, Oscar De La Hoya or Ryan Garcia, felt the rehydration clause was going to put them at a disadvantage. In fact, Ryan's father was asked, why did you guys even accept the rehydration clause in the first place? And this is what he said.
And Ryan's like said, hey, I just want to fight. I just don't, it's not too far off. Ryan doesn't even rehydrate 10 pounds over anyway, so that was nothing for him.
Because I know that's a concern amongst fans is like, oh, what condition is he going to be if he can't rehydrate up?
No, let me tell you something. He's right where we want to be because he knows, like I said, he knows the game. He knows what he has to do. And when you rehydrate, you don't want to rehydrate too much either, because now, what about your speed? What about that? You got to be careful. You got to be well balanced, and that's where Ryan understands how to be well balanced. And we don't have a problem with that.
Now, if you guys paid attention, you'll notice even when Ryan Garcia's father is saying that that's not going to be a disadvantage at all, the reporter from Fight Hub, he's still desperately trying to push the rehydration clause excuse, despite Ryan Garcia's father saying that this won't affect us at all. The reporter from Fight Hub, he's basically saying to Ryan's father, like, hey, man, be careful with what you say. You're going off code. It's going to be harder for us to use this excuse if you keep telling the truth. By the way, Marcos from Fight Hub is the same reporter that was interviewing Shakur Stevenson and started to make excuses for Oscar Valdez leading into that fight, saying that Shakur Stevenson was too big and he was too long for Oscar Valdez. And of course, he's the same reporter that made excuses for Lomachenko as well. He's too old and he's too small. And yet, when Floyd Mayweather was fighting Canelo Alvarez, none of these reporters mentioned age and how small Floyd Mayweather was compared to Canelo. In fact, it was the complete contrary. They made excuses for Canelo. They made it look like this was somewhat of a cherry pick for the much older, smaller Floyd Mayweather, which means deep down, they are really in awe of Floyd Mayweather's skills and resume. Moving on. So Ryan Garcia, he responds to Oscar De La Hoya by saying, okay, buddy, you got it all figured out. Tired of you disrespecting my whole career and you think none of it matters. Loyalty and common sense is lost in your head. Stop treating people that way and think they will just accept it. So now in the future, guys, whatever we hear Oscar De La Hoya say at a press conference when he's promoting a Ryan Garcia fight, we know what he feels and what he thinks deep down about Ryan Garcia. But the good news for Ryan Garcia is his career is not over and there are still a lot of big fights that he can be involved in. In fact, he can actually win some of them. And there's always going to be some trinket belt that he could win, some vacant belt that's available against maybe lesser opposition, meaning he can become a champion again. I don't know if he could ever become pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, but he can definitely become a belt holder. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, the
Fever blisters, diabetic ulcers,
this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Diki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodiki.com.
Like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram.
Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.